This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lori McIsaac, and I'm the Director of Experiential Tourism Development here at RTO9. Each year, RTO9 works hand in hand with tourism partners to enhance experiential tourism products across the Southeastern Ontario region. RTO9's Partnership Fund is designed to forge strong and diverse partnerships that either build on existing tourism products or introduce new tourism products to the area. These projects serve to enhance the region's diversity of offerings to create a competitive advantage in tourism experiences throughout the Southeastern Ontario region. Joining me today is Susanne Richter. Hello, Susanne, Executive Director at the Thousand Islands Boat Museum. Thanks so much for joining me this morning, Susanne. I was hoping you could share a little information about last year's Partnership Fund project that you were leading, in case others were interested in learning maybe a little bit more about partnership funding or applying for partnership funding in the coming year. So if it's okay with you, I'm just going to ask you a series of questions that hopefully will give interested parties a better idea of how the project, partnership funding rather, works, and how it, more importantly, how it worked for you and the Thousand Island Boat Museum.
Sure, that sounds great. Thanks very much for having us.
Terrific. Where'd you hear about partnership funding? I know this is not your first time for applying, but where originally did you hear?
So we originally heard about it at a partnership fund workshop that was hosted by the Thousand Islands Association partners here in Gananoque. And as you were mentioning, to do with peers, it was great because at that workshop, there were a number of our peers or like organizations who were reporting on partnership funds or projects that they had put together with funding through RTO9. So we were inspired by some of the other projects that we heard about, and I think we met you there. Again, it was a number of years ago, hosted at the Playhouse here.
Terrific, thank you. And why this project, Susanne?
So the Thousand Islands Boat Museum is all about connecting visitors with the heritage of the river, really in the context of boats. And clearly, the heritage of the river and the boat story began with Indigenous waterway exploration. So that's the starting point of the story. And to connect community members, visitors from far away, visitors from across the province and across the country, what better way is there to do that with a hands-on project like a birch bark canoe being built on site, and the opportunity to get into a Voyageur canoe and then paddle along some of the actual routes that the Voyageurs would have taken when they were here.
Yeah, and I think it went really well for you, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
As we all know, COVID came to town, came to
Yes,
the globe, and it certainly did, and it's still with us. But how did that change? Because you didn't abandon your project because COVID came, you altered it. How did that change your project?
Well, we actually started the first partnership project 2 years ago, as you know. So this was our second one. So we built on the first one. In an odd way, it made for a more intimate and perhaps more meaningful experience for our visitors. So COVID obviously meant that we couldn't take the numbers that we had originally intended in the Voyageur canoes. We would have usually taken perhaps 15 to 16 people. They would not have necessarily needed to have been from the same household and the same bubble. So we simply changed the project so that it customized it really for the COVID requirements. So we lowered the number of people in the canoes so that they were socially distanced, and we made sure that they were bubbled. That meant for, as I said, a more intimate experience for the people that were going out, for the visitors that were actually participating in the paddle. As far as the birch bark canoe building component that was put on this year, of course, we were still in COVID times. So we simply had it built outside, which meant that people could come, they could experience the canoe building. We had a number of people who were actually involved, volunteers from the community, as well as visitors on a daily basis who came and were encouraged to help lash on a piece of the birch bark or certainly interact with Chuck Commanda, who was our birch bark canoe builder. So I think COVID in our case certainly for the birch bark canoe building, showed us a new way that would allow more people to interact with the birch bark canoe building process because it took place outside. And it gave, again, a more meaningful and unforgettable experience to the people who were passengers in the canoes because they interacted more closely with the guides because there were a much lower number of passengers per trip.
Right, right. And you made a good point in that this year you also received funding for a similar but enhanced version of what you did the previous year. RTO funding is not necessarily a one-shot deal. If you are enhancing something that you have received funding for in the past, so in this case, Susanne, you hired Chuck Commanda to actually build a birch bark canoe. You can apply for funding for that as well. So great point. Thank you for bringing that up. What partners, other than Chuck, of course, who was probably the biggest partner for you in this initiative this year, what partners did you work with last year when you first started this?
So the first one that we brought on board was Rideau Roundtable, and Rideau Roundtable has been there out of Smiths Falls, and for some time now they've been offering this product. But really, they were not offering it on a regular scheduled basis to anybody until we approached them. They'd been doing sort of one-offs here and there, but certainly not on a weekly or bi-weekly or more than that schedule throughout the summer. So we brought them on board. You're right, this year then we added Chuck Commanda, which was wonderful and again very meaningful to everybody. We had Jovis, like a photography company, Visuals, who were taking pictures and chronicling some of it. The town of Gananoque was certainly a partner, as was the Chamber of Commerce here. And actually this year what happened was I would consider them a partner as well. Theodore too, the tugboat that was going from the East Coast through to its new home in Hamilton, Theodore stopped and became part of this whole initiative. In fact, Theodore took the canoe that Chuck had built on deck as a symbol of Indigenous waterway exploration. And that message was then broadcast through the birch bark canoe on the back of Theodore to all the way to Hamilton and beyond. So we certainly try to find partners and add partners, even if they're not in the beginning, they certainly jump on along the way.
That's terrific. That's terrific. And was the I guess not was, but what was the partnership with RTO9? How did we help in making this project happen?
So certainly in a COVID year as well, we simply would not have been able to do this either year without RTO9. And a big part of that is we all know our revenue is down because we simply have less visitors. There just isn't anybody here. And this year, as most of us found, I think it was a little bit different, but not that much different because we don't have that many months, certainly as a very seasonal operation, to generate the revenue that we need to get us through the year. So if RTO9 came in helping to fund half of all of the costs, which was wonderful for us and got us through, made this thing possible, it simply wouldn't have happened without RTO9 behind us.
Perfect. Great answer. You know, there are, of course, with any funding, there are some restrictions as to what we can fund. Some of the things that we did fund for your project, for this year's project, certainly was having Chuck Commanda come on site. So his fee to come on site and to actually build and I understand that he actually harvests the birch bark himself.
He does, so the costs for that, you know, are a little bit tricky, but he has to go at the time that one can harvest birch bark, which isn't year round. But he harvests the birch bark himself in the woods, brought it here. It was really an incredible experience for everybody involved, including those of us running the museum. So it certainly inspired us for future exhibits. So for example, he showed up with a roll of birch bark that then needed to be soaked, and we all assumed that wouldn't be a problem throwing it into the river. Well, birch bark by nature floats, so we couldn't get it far enough underneath and attached anchors, and it was just the whole experience was enlightening. It was educational, it was inspiring, and it was certainly encouraging for us to continue on with projects like that because it touched so many people who came from here, but also people, tourists who came to this area who had no idea that a birch bark canoe was built from one piece of birch bark, or how the resin worked, how the pine resin worked to glue the seams. So it was a great experience. And again, we would not be doing this project. We wouldn't have been able to do this project had RTO9 not helped with covering Chuck's fees, as well as Rideau Roundtable to come and bring their canoes here. And the funding from Rideau Roundtable really has kept the Voyageur canoe business, as in Rideau Roundtable, alive as well during these difficult times. Because as I said, they were not, when we approached them, they were not booked for the summer. In fact, with COVID, they weren't sure if they were going to get any bookings, because they weren't sure how they would now change their program to fit in with COVID restrictions. So everybody benefited, and RTO9 was really the springboard that let all this happen.
Perfect, perfect. I'm just going to pull up. So this next visual here is actually the landing page on RTO9. If anyone is looking for information on partnership funding, what it's all about, who can apply, things like that, the website is rto9.ca. And you'll see here that there is information of what constitutes a partnership, who is eligible to apply. We actually just released an interim partnership funding application period. It's it started today, and it's open until November 19th, I believe. Yes, November 19th, for tourism businesses. So this is individual tourism operators who are looking to develop or enhance a winter activity. So there's an opportunity there if anyone is interested. Susanne, what advice would you give to other tourism operators or organizations like Thousand Island Boat Museum when it comes to organizing a project like this and seeking funding?
I think certainly for us in the last 2 years, I think the most important thing that I would pass on would be to be really creative in finding partners, to think out of the box. So as opposed to just, well, we need to fill the other half of this funding to match RTO9, really get creative with the local service organizations, whether that's a Rotarian group, or here we have the Lions group in Gananoque, chambers of commerce. It seems that most towns, municipalities have small pots of funding. So a lot of little pieces certainly can help raise that other half that might seem daunting at first to try to do all in one lump sum. And you know, between finding a number of different local organizations that will fund in actual dollars, as well as the in-kind. There are an awful lot of organizations I found, especially during COVID, who are more than willing to donate in-kind to be part of a project that will perhaps bring up their own awareness about their own service or product or tourism product that they're trying to offer. So I think I would say just be very, very creative and think outside the box about who can help you fund the project and make it happen, because there are a lot more resources around us than we often think. And I think whether you're going to a like organization like your own, to say, why don't we, you know, instead of working in silos, why don't we partner together and pool our resources, you'll get there a lot faster, and I think have a greater impact on the tourism community that we're trying to support here and bolster.
Agree. I couldn't agree more. One of the positive impacts of COVID over the last almost 2 years now has been the development of partnerships between tourism operators and like-minded tourism operators, or organizations like RTO9, chambers of commerce, that sort of thing. So I would encourage anyone who is interested to really dig a little deep and find out what other partners you can connect with to make your initiative happen. If you're uncertain or you're not sure who you can reach out to, certainly RTO9 is here to help, to make those connections, to make those introductions, and to help whatever your initiative is come to market. So Susanne, I really appreciate you taking the time today. For those again watching, you can find out more information on partnership funding at rto9.ca, and then just click on the partnership fund tab. There is a winter initiative on right now, and this would be for winter experiences that take place up to March 31st. It can go beyond March 31st, but it needs to take place from now until March 31st. And if there are any questions, I can be reached through RTO9 on our website as well. Again, thank you, Susanne. I appreciate you taking the time, and I look forward to hearing all about what happened with this year's project. I hear it was a great success.
Well, thank you very much. Again, thanks for having us, and big thanks to RTO9 for making this project possible, and we're looking forward to exciting new projects in the future.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.